person. In page 92, you've got that list of payments to you starting in 2019 to 2021, and you say you accept that they indicate that they come from Mr. Matlala's different companies. Falcon Cat, Medicare 24, Black AK, and another one from him personally, it indicates, or at least it says, Vusimuzi Matlala, you've confirmed you received those payments. Now, in the period between 2019 June, which is what this schedule is, to September 2021, you have received from Mr. Matlala a total of 113,500 rands. That's what you've received, and they're broken down into small amounts: 10,000, 3,000, 10,000, 10, 10, 10, 15, 5, 20, 10, and then 10. How do you explain the sudden escalation? I mean, he used to give you small numbers, and I'm asking this because the chair earlier suggested to you that the huge amounts that you now receive, the 100 that you are now being paid, suggests that there may well have been a part of it, if not all of it, being gratification. Now, if you look at that huge amounts, the hundreds that you're receiving vis-a-vis what you were receiving in 2019, all of to 2021, all of which totals to just over 100,000 rand over a longer period than what you get in January, February, March. It does suggest that what you now receive after the Medicare contract may well be or include gratification for your role in managing this contract, the facilitation that you are making, the role that we see you playing now, the active role you are playing in this contract. That's what it looks like.
I do not agree, Commissioner. Maybe by then his financial status was a little bit low, hence he could give the 10,000 rand and the 20,000 rand. And now his financial status
he's become richer now. That's why he's giving you so much money. That's what it is, right? That's what you want to say.
His financial status has changed for the better, and knowing my current situation that by then I was struggling to buy a vehicle, we were pushing so that he can buy me a car.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I see that it's...
The period following the awarding of the R350m South African Police Service SAPS contract marked a noticeable shift in the financial behavior of businessman Vusimuzi Matlala, particularly in relation to payments he allegedly made to Brigadier Rachel Matjeng, a senior police official widely reported to have been in a personal relationship with him. According to bank records and investigative reporting that later emerged, the amounts transferred to Matjeng increased sharply after the contract was secured, raising questions about timing, intent, and the broader governance environment within which the deal was concluded. Before the SAPS contract was finalized, Matlala's transfers to Matjeng were reportedly modest. These payments, usually in the region of 10,000 rand at a time, were consistent with what might be interpreted, at least on the surface, as occasional personal support or gifts between individuals in a close relationship. Such amounts, while not insignificant, did not stand out dramatically in the context of Matlala's broader business interests or financial footprint. They appeared sporadic and relatively small, and on their own did not attract public attention. That pattern, however, reportedly changed after Matlala's company secured the lucrative R350m rand SAPS contract. Investigators later alleged that shortly after the award, the value of the transfers increased tenfold. Instead of 10,000 rand payments, Matjeng allegedly began receiving transfers of approximately 100,000 rand per transaction. These payments were said to be more frequent and more regular, marking a sharp departure from the earlier pattern. The timing of this escalation became a central issue for investigators and journalists examining the contract. In public sector procurement, timing is often as important as amount. When a significant increase in personal payments coincides closely with the awarding of a major government contract, it can raise suspicions of undue influence, conflicts of interest, or concealed benefits, even where no explicit quid pro quo is proven. It is this temporal alignment, rather than the payments alone, that has drawn scrutiny. The R350 million rand SAPS contract itself was significant. Contracts of this size are subject to stringent procurement rules, including competitive bidding processes, declarations of interest, and internal oversight mechanisms designed to prevent corruption or favoritism. Any suggestion that a senior SAPS officer may have had a personal relationship with a beneficiary of such a contract inevitably raises concerns about whether these safeguards were adequately enforced. Brigadier Rachel Matjeng's position within SAPS added another layer of complexity. As a senior officer, she occupied a role that carried both authority and responsibility, particularly in an institution that has long struggled with public trust due to repeated corruption scandals. Even if she was not directly involved in adjudicating the contract, critics have argued that her rank alone could have created perceived influence or access, an issue that governance experts say is just as damaging as actual interference. Matlala, for his part, has been portrayed in various media reports as a businessman with extensive interests and connections. Supporters have argued that his financial success and ability to secure large contracts should not automatically be viewed with suspicion. They contend that increased personal spending after securing a major contract is not unusual, especially for individuals who experience a sudden improvement in cash flow. From this perspective, larger transfers to a romantic partner could be explained as generosity enabled by improved finances, rather than as evidence of wrongdoing. Nevertheless, investigators reportedly focused on the scale and structure of the payments. Transfers of 100,000 rand at a time are not typically associated with casual gifts. They suggest a level of financial support that goes beyond everyday expenses and invite questions about their purpose. Were the payments intended for specific costs? Were they loans, gifts, or compensation for something else? The absence of clear documentation or explanations, as reported in some accounts, is what has fueled speculation. Another factor that has drawn attention is the contrast between the pre-contract and post-contract periods. Before the SAPS deal, Matlala's alleged payments to Matjeng were smaller and less consistent. After the deal, they became larger and more regular. For investigators, such a shift can indicate a change in the underlying relationship or obligations between the parties. Even if the relationship was genuinely romantic, the abrupt escalation invites questions about why the pattern changed so dramatically at that specific point in time. The issue also highlights broader systemic problems in public procurement and ethics management in South Africa. The country has, over the past 2 decades, witnessed numerous cases in which personal relationships between business people and public officials have blurred the line between private life and public duty. In many of these cases, payments initially framed as gifts or support later became central to corruption prosecutions. Legal experts note that the mere existence of a personal relationship is not illegal, nor are gifts or financial support between partners automatically unlawful. The critical legal question is whether such payments were linked, directly or indirectly, to the exercise of official power or influence. Establishing that link requires evidence of intent, knowledge, and benefit, standards that are often difficult to meet in court. Public reaction to the allegations involving Matlala and Matjeng has been shaped by broader frustration with corruption in SAPS and the state more generally. For many South Africans, the details of the payments reinforced a sense that senior officials and connected business people operate according to a different set of rules. The increase from 10,000 Rand to 100,000 Rand transfers became a symbol of perceived excess and impunity. Civil society organizations and opposition parties have argued that even if no criminal case ultimately succeeds, the matter underscores the need for stricter disclosure requirements and clearer boundaries. They have called for senior police officials to declare close personal relationships with major government contractors, arguing that transparency is essential to restoring public trust. From an institutional perspective, SAPS has faced pressure to demonstrate that it takes such allegations seriously. Internal investigations, suspensions, or disciplinary processes, where they occur, are often scrutinized as closely as criminal proceedings. Critics argue that slow or opaque responses only deepen public cynicism. The financial dimension of the case also raises questions about lifestyle audits and financial monitoring. If a senior officer is receiving regular six-figure payments, even from a private individual, it could trigger red flags under existing anti-corruption frameworks. Proponents of stronger oversight argue that such mechanisms should operate automatically, regardless of whether a formal complaint has been laid. For Matlala, the controversy has had reputational consequences. Business figures linked to high-profile investigations often find themselves under sustained media scrutiny, with past contracts, partnerships, and political connections re-examined. Even unproven allegations can affect future business opportunities, as both private clients and the state become wary of association. Supporters of Matjeng have cautioned against conflating allegation with guilt. They argue that female officials, in particular, are often judged harshly for their personal relationships, and assumptions are made about dependency or impropriety without sufficient evidence. From this viewpoint, the focus on the payments risks reinforcing stereotypes rather than addressing systemic procurement failures. Still, the scale of the SAPS contract and the dramatic increase in payments have kept the matter in the public eye. Investigative journalists have pointed out that corruption is rarely proven through a single transaction. Rather, it is established through patterns of behavior. The shift from 10,000 Rand to 100,000 Rand transfers is seen as one such pattern that warrants explanation. The case also illustrates the difficulty of separating personal and professional spheres in environments where power and money intersect. When a businessman benefits from state contracts and simultaneously provides substantial financial support to a senior official, even a genuine romantic relationship can appear compromised. In governance terms, perception matters almost as much as reality. As the matter continues to be debated, it serves as a reminder of the importance of transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership. Whether or not wrongdoing is ultimately proven, the questions raised by the post-contract payments highlight vulnerability